Hey guys, Ron here. Thanks for watching wherever you might be and whenever it might be for you. Wow, that's a weird sentence, but you know what I mean. Anyway, tonight we're going to talk about short conversation here. I mainly want to know your thoughts, and my question to you is, what do you think Area 51 is? Super secret military base in the desert. What do we think it is? It's shrouded in mystery, and the government has good reason to keep it shrouded in mystery. So let's talk about it just a little bit, and then you'll tell me your thoughts on what you think it is. And I'll try to tell you what I think it is. I'll just tell you right now, I'm not sure. We know that Area 51 has been an area, a super secret military base with keep out signs everywhere, and I think the closest you can get is about 50 miles away on the hills to watch what's going on there. I don't know that much about Google Earth or satellites, and if they're even allowed, I'm sure it's got to be a no-fly zone if anybody's allowed to get close enough to take pictures from space and see what's going on there. But I have seen pictures, and all we have to rely on is people who have an agenda. And I have seen the photographs of what appears to be long runways, and buildings and structures. Now, people have been going to Area 51 for decades, and there's a group that call the guards that come out there affectionately camo dudes, because they come out in their military fatigues and everything, and it's serious. They keep everybody away big time. Very super secret. Now, Area 51, I don't know if it's been acknowledged now, but it hadn't been acknowledged by the government for a very long time. So the thinking was, that it was a place where aliens, possibly the Roswell aliens, were being kept and studied or were brought to, or that Area 51 was built exclusively after the infamous Roswell incident in 1947. And that their spacecraft was brought there as well. With Roswell, the thinking was that the about the incident. The thought is, or should I say, how should I say this? People who believe that aliens crashed near Roswell in that July night of 1947 speculate that the aliens there were a couple of aliens that were alive and some dead, that they were brought to Wright Field, which is now Wright-Patterson, and that the aliens and the craft were later transported to this new super secret base, which was working on, among other things, reverse engineering the craft, and that is the area, what's known as Dream Lake or Area 51. Now, in decades ago, a guy named Bob Lazar, and you can look up Bob Lazar, Robert Lazar, came to prominence saying that he was a engineer, or I don't know his title, physicist, engineer, but that he had worked at Area 51, and he was, according to him, blowing the whistle on it. He said there was, in fact, aliens, bodies, and ships, that he worked at a place called S4, built into the side of the mountain at Area 51, super secret clearance, and that he had worked on reverse engineering, and he'd seen the ships there, the alien ships there. Now, the government discredited him and continues to discredit him to this day. Wasn't there, don't know him, doesn't have a degree, he's a con man, so on and so forth. Now, who knows, because that's exactly what the government would do if somebody was spilling the beans. I mean, as of this filming, he's alive. Nobody's killed him. That would certainly be suspicious. So I don't know about Bob Lazar. We don't know. He talks in great detail, and he sure sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He's very, very convincing. But like I said, the government has gone to great lengths to discredit him. Now, what he would get from this, I mean, obviously he's a famous name now. What he would achieve from making up this elaborate hoax, I'm not sure, other than if he wanted to sell books or be in documentaries, and he's certainly been on film in the documentaries, or he was decades ago, quite a lot. You can check him out, Bob Lazar. But I don't know, because he might have had, I don't know if he had death threats or any other threats. You know, in other words, it's a dangerous thing to talk about, even if you're joking about national secrets, because somebody, whether there is a true secret that you're revealing or not, may come out, even if they're deranged, and get violent for you supposedly revealing such great secrets. So we just don't know. Now, beyond that, there are, you can find a lot of material, and this is the one thing I think the internet has done tremendous damage to interpersonal relationships in the last millennials and Gen Z, I guess it is, since the year 2000 or so. And it's added with depression and anxiety and a lot of really bad things for our culture, because as you may guess, I was raised decades before the internet came out, but now I'm as dependent on it as you guys are. But I also know how to go up and meet somebody in person and not just text and all that stuff. But having said that, I will say I think the internet is unbelievable for being able to look up just anything you want. I'm constantly learning every day. I hear about somebody, I'm going to look them up. I'm going to watch YouTube. It's unbelievable. It's fantastic. The documentaries you can watch. You don't have to be limited by walking in a library anymore. And a lot of you, since you're watching this, you're like me. You soak up knowledge. You soak up information. And I sure do. And anyway, my point is that I watched some documentaries, a couple of years ago, I guess. And here was a guy, post-retirement age. Well, a couple of documentaries. One of them showed what they call a certain, and this appears to be real, a certain runway area of McCarran Airport in Las Vegas, where apparently the employees for Area 51, that the government doesn't admit exist, or at least didn't, they take off for work, and they've flown out to Area 51 every day on a jet, and then they come back. And this particular documentary followed people from the plane landing to the person's drive home, and then confronted them at their door, and the people were the so-called supposed employees of Area 51, of course, were slamming the doors in their face. And the ones that did talk reluctantly said they, of course, signed government contracts saying if they ever talked about their work, they would lose their pension, they would be up for perhaps criminal prosecution and other really bad things. So nobody's going to talk about it. But this particular airline, the Janus Terminal, I believe it's referred to, I actually knew somebody who did work on airplanes out at McCarran, and he told me that it definitely existed, and the word was they were being flown, to work every day, to and from Area 51, from Las Vegas Airport, McCarran. Now, it might have been on the same documentary, others, but they eventually found a guy or two. I remember one guy in particular who was willing to speak, and he said that he worked at Area 51. I don't believe he said that there were any quote-unquote little green men out there or spaceships, but I wish I did remember that. But I do remember one thing he said. He said that they rolled out such secret aircraft there, including the S4, including the Blackbird aircraft, that, not S4, that was where Bob Lazar said he was working, but that there were such secret aircraft, he said, that when they were in the cafeteria and they were rolling out these particular aircraft, that they would black out the shades, black out the windows until the aircraft was rolled out, that even the employees who were not working on the project in particular were not allowed to see these particular aircraft. And that sounded pretty convincing to me. But again, what do I know? They also said that there were certain times when they knew that Soviet satellites were flying overhead, and they would wait till the Soviet satellites would fly overhead, and then they would bring out the aircraft onto the runway. So their take was that Area 51 is a testing site for super secret aircraft and weaponry for the United States Army, the Air Force, I don't know, maybe CIA, so on and so forth. Also, like I said, it runs a whole gamut of what are affectionately known, he says sarcastically, as conspiracy theorists, who say that Area 51 and other bases are connected by long underground tunnels. In fact, one of the things they said was there were tunnels under Area 51 big enough to have aircraft with very, very large wingspan, and that this is another way that people traveled between Area 51 and other bases, I guess particularly in the Southwest, but not limited to. Just unbelievable stuff. And that does not sound crazy to me, because I think that there have been tunnels for centuries in this country, maybe we know linking the White House and other structures. It doesn't seem crazy to me that for security purposes and for reasons of security, meaning we don't want the enemy to see from the sky, or pesky tourists like us, what's going on the ground, it would make sense that super secret military bases would have tunnels running underneath to transport things back and forth, and do testing as well. Even nuclear testing. We know that nuclear weapons have been tested underground. Not every test has been as open as Bikini Atoll. There's been nuclear testing underground. In fact, some people who believe that extraterrestrials have visited this planet, including the Roswell incident, believe that the reason Roswell happened in 1947 is because 2 years earlier the United States, obviously ignited 3 nuclear weapons. The test weapon near Alamogordo, and then a week later or so, the bomb dropping on Hiroshima, and then days after that, the bomb on Nagasaki. And that somehow this nuclear activity, the birth of the nuclear age, somehow spawned aliens to come and see us. And I guess they made that journey in 2 years. It's kind of hard to say. It's all kind of hard to say. But it's really interesting to me how the nuclear age did seem to change everything. It seemed to, the nuclear age and the end of World War II also brought on the Cold War, which at the time of this filming, unfortunately, we're back into with Russia, which at the time was the Soviet Union. And during the Cold War, because of the theory of mutually assured destruction, their nukes hit us, our nukes hit them, and that's the end of the world, duck and cover. It was a very scary world in that way. And America was a very different place because we were much more united as Americans, because of the threat of the Cold War. We had to unite against those Ruskies, our enemy. And I would imagine the Soviet Union, they felt the same way. So, anyway, it changed everything. It changed the way we viewed things, and it also changed, I think, the need for these super secret military bases and the exploration of space and so on and so forth. But the Cold War really became the dominant factor in American foreign policy, including because our survival had never been at risk until World War II, and of course after World War II with the advent of nuclear weapons. And it turns out that Stalin had a spy when we, the United States, were building the first nuclear weapons that were dropped. So apparently he was not surprised when he was told by President Truman that we were going to drop those bombs in Japan and end the war, presumably that way, which thank God it did end the war. But it's unfortunate that the victims about all the victims at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, anyway, that's a different subject that I did a turn paper on. Another question, was it necessary to drop the bomb, or should the bomb be dropped as a test and let the Japanese see it? Anyway, That's, like I said, a philosophical question. It's another question. But anyway, here we are with the question of Area 51. Is it a super secret military base? Was it all born out of the Cold War and nuclear weapons, UFOs, nuclear weapons, super secret military bases? Is this all an extension of what happened after World War II? Or is it a place where alien bodies, presumably from Roswell, and maybe other times, are kept or were kept, including with spaceships that are being reverse engineered? You tell me. Tell me your thoughts on Area 51. Groom Lake. Is it Dream Lake? Groom Lake? And listen to Art Bell. Yeah, Art Bell. Used to be Art Bell. Now it's George Norrie. And we'll probably hear a lot about it on various shows. It's great late night radio listening. Okay, guys. So again, Ron here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe. If you do subscribe, is that a Christmas tree behind me? Christmas lights. If you do subscribe, please hit the little bell icon next to the subscription button. You'll get notified when I post. And also give the channel likes. And I know I'll be getting comments from you, so I don't even have to mention them. And keep them thought-provoking, folks. If they're thought-provoking, we'll all have a good discussion. If they're stupid, we won't have a good discussion. All right, guys. I'll see you at the next location. Thank you. Bye-bye.